I'm sure it was the Board of National Missions, their policy was to try to buy land near a college and put up a church, which could be a kind of college church. But there wasn't that much land around Trinity right then where you could build something like that. So they carved off a number of acres there to put up the church.
I do remember working with a bunch of fellow students and some adults on land on which, the first building was built. That is where the sanctuary is now. Clearing rocks. We just, physically cleared a lot of rocks off the place as they began to get ready to set the foundation.
This facility is sitting on a rock foundation. It's known as the quarry. This thing was just a quarry type thing, and Trinity was built kind of in the quarry where it was, all dug out. Well, this was never dug out, so you can go down about a half an inch, and there's solid rock here. That's why our yard looks so sparse, because grass doesn't do real well on rock, and that's what we have, basically.
It's Bridgeport pink brick, and it was given to Trinity by the brickmaker, Acme, because they knew that you couldn't get anything that color this side of California. So you were going to have to build your buildings if they match. You were going to have to buy your brick from them. The church got in on the same thing, being built at the same time, and I think there were probably mixed plans from the very beginning.
They didn't have all the buildings that they have now. They didn't have all the extended, but they did have a Sunday school area, and the sanctuary was just pretty much the same as what you see it now, maybe a little bit different.
Well, it's a mid-century modern sanctuary, and it got recognized as it's not a historical building, but it has recognition because there's not many mid-century modern churches around. So we never did too much to the outside of the sanctuary, but we made modifications inside.
The cross and the church in general. Yes, it's not fancy, it's just comfortable. No stained glass or anything, it's just windows and the cross.
Every time we would think about, we need to do something about our church, our sanctuary, because you've been in our sanctuary and it's not like a grand cathedral or anything. And then we would decide, no, because if we do that, we can't give this money to mission. We cannot support this project. We can't do that.
The first 4 years, I think all Sunday school classes met in the community room, I guess in different corners. I don't remember it, but it had to have been. Children's Education Building was built in 1958, and we started meeting in that. Then we had classes in the Education Building. That was well before the UPCC was started. So it was our church's education building, and as you know, it has two stories.
I'm thinking of the upstairs rooms in the UPC Children's Building now, UPCC. The classrooms on the upper level were the only Sunday school classes we had, and so adults would be in one room and children would be in another, but adults were sitting in children's chairs, and that was difficult.
This isn't going to work. The furniture's not going to work, even if the space is here. So over in what's now the community room, they divided that room up into sections with these kind of cane curtains. They could be pushed aside or pulled together. So you could have 4 or maybe 6 different classrooms, all of them impinging on the others with noise.
The administration building wasn't built until 1977. So the pastor's office was in a little corner off the community room. It's where the music materials are now. And the secretary's office was across on the west side in a comparable small little area.
The church was just starved for space. Finally, they got around to building the administrative wing. Clearly needed, and it helped a lot. But even then, there wasn't enough classroom space.
What we really thought we needed at the time was a fellowship hall. And so we got our building committee together and thought it all through and had some concept plans done by Joe Stubblefield, who was a member at the time. And then we got to thinking, we really need classrooms because we've grown so much, difficult to have all the classroom Sunday school type activities in those classrooms. We thought we We better not be building a sanctuary. We really need a Christian education building. And that's how that one came about.
It has always been a premise at UPC that we didn't need to spend money glorifying ourselves. We needed to spend money out in the community doing good. And so people didn't want to spend money or raise money for buildings. There was a lot of conversation about whether or not to move forward with the building. And one of the challenges that some of the members gave Lib was, well, show us how we can use this building all the time and not just on Sunday mornings.
Okay, so we want this new building. Well, what's going in this new building? Well, by this point, the size of the church had risen from about maybe 225 at the beginning of Lib's term. You're looking at like a 425. I mean, a huge jump in congregational life and numbers. And that helped to finance things and get enthusiasm and so forth. But we wanted to have some way of having a better space for adult studies programs and so forth. But we didn't want it to just be a Sundays only building. It had to be a 7 days a week building. So what are you doing with that building during the weekday? What are you doing with it? I mean, you got to use it for the community. And so there was always this idea about a community focus for this building. And then there was Lib's concept.
I guess I had, just come across various articles of learning centers, one at Fifth Avenue Presbyterian Church in New York City. So I contacted them. The person who was there said, well, we just got this Lilly grant that we're going to have a consultation on adult education, adult faith formation or whatever. And would y'all like to come? So Jack and I went.
Lib and I attended that in New York City. They modeled their program for us. It's all about trying to have a place where it's safe to talk about religion and ethics and spirituality, and it doesn't matter who you are or what you believe, so long as you recognize and honor the space. And so that's kind of where the ideas were about that particular building.
It was important to us that it resemble the church as much as it could in a more modern way, and that would it fit in with the neighborhood. And so part of that was seeing if we could find Trinity brick. It's a very special color that's no longer made. But we found the company that, at that time, we found the company that produced it. And so we had to special order the brick to match the Trinity buildings and this building. I mean, all of our, campus. And I've been on every building committee, I think. And that one was difficult. We had a lot of problems. Well, we had to cut things back on the CE building because we were way over budget.
The building is called the Center for Education, but it was confused a good bit for being the Source of Light Center itself. And that was a good association to have because, we get a year or two into having this building and having to pay bills on this building, and we hadn't paid it off yet. And lo and behold, because it is the Source of Light Center building, one of our angel members, donors, wrote the check for what was left to pay off that building.
Then the construction went okay, except we, ran out. We didn't raise enough money, and we didn't get to we had designed kind of a monument kind of piece that would be at the intersection of where the sidewalks meet between this admin building, the CE building. We didn't have that money. We were going to put what we now have as a gathering space. We didn't have enough money to do that. So we had to have a second capital campaign. And I think after about 2 years, we got the money to finish those things. The gathering space was added then, and the columbarium.
Well, the theme was, in life and in death we belong to God. And that was for the columbarium and the memorial wall. And I loved the idea of in life and in death. In life, the gathering space, and in death, the columbarium and the memorial wall, we belong to God. My parents' names are on the memorial wall, and my late husband is in an urn in a niche in the columbarium.
I will say, this is not bragging. I will say that I think that I was principally involved in the church building the columbarium because I wanted a place to put my wife's ashes at a place where we held dear. She and I did, and I still do hold the University Presbyterian Church very, very dear. So when she died, there was a life insurance policy, and I signed that over as the start fund, the startup for the building of the columbarium. And when it was completed, I got a call overseas. I was overseas. I know it was an email, it wasn't a call, and said that since I had been instrumental, they wanted me to select the first niche. They wanted me to have the opportunity to select the first niche. And my wife was born in 1939, and so I chose niche 39. And that's the niche that she is, her ashes are in, and mine will be in someday. But I was appreciative of the fact that they let me do that.
We've tried to not change it too much. I think everyone appreciates the simplicity of our sanctuary. We would like it to be more flexible, perhaps. We're looking at that right now. I'm on a committee that's doing a campus planning.
Still on a committee.
I'm still on a committee. We're doing a campus planning to see what we really do need next, because we do. We've grown. We have the most members now that we've ever had since we've been in the church 50 years.
Because it's home. That's where my friends are. That's home. I wouldn't think of going anywhere else. Somehow, that's all I can think of. It's home. It's comfortable. I know this place. I know these people, and these are my friends, and this is where I've gotten support and love for years.
And if there's any great theme I would underscore, all of these programs were so heart-centered and people-centered, and it wasn't a left-right thing. It was it was an ethos, and it all comes from the same soil of that speck of ground at the corner of Shook and Bushnell.